everybody, and welcome back to Worbs and Neville, episode 6. So today I'm going to make a start on the electrics, getting all the electrical stuff in, the fuse boards, the 240 hookup, solar controller, bits and bobs. I think I did roughly explain what I was going to do in the previous video. We've put the panel in the end section of the, let's have a look here. So the panel, there's going to be a panel that goes in there, wooden panel, carpeted, with everything mounted on. All my cables are going to run underneath. I've already run the cable in from the battery, which comes out, I can't turn the camera around from here, but comes out at the bottom, in between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. I've run the usual route that people normally run it, so through the bulkhead, down, around sort of under the heater matrix, round to the centre console, and I've used the little plastic covers that run in the centre of the seats where the standard cables run down there, and then obviously over to this side of the van. I'm not going to run them in the panels, behind the panels. If anything goes wrong, if I get a fault on anything, I can easily access the cables. Everything is running in little 18mm split conduit, so everything is nice and protected. There's going to be no cables chafing on anything or anything like that. So yeah, I've got to put obviously things back together like the seal and get my insulation back in there. Units are still not screwed down because I want to get cables in. I want to find positions for things. Then when that's done, I can get that all screwed in and sorted. So right, let's make a start on making this this little carpeted panel up I'm going to put in there. Okay, so this is my little carpeted panel I've just made up, and as you can see, I'm going to mount all my bits and bobs on this panel here. That's going to fit in the back of that cupboard. I went for the CBE PC210 system. You have to forgive me again, I'm all snotty today. I've still got my cold. Man flu. All my electrical equipment, all of this, solar panel, everything else, I got from a company called Simply Split Charge. Again, another absolutely brilliant company to deal with. Let's flip this camera around. There we go. You guys get to see my ugly mug again now. So yeah, as I said, all my electrical equipment came from a company called Simply Split Charge. Again, I'll pop their website address down here. As I said, brilliant company to deal with. Guy's name there is Mick. Another company I would highly recommend. Any sort of electrical equipment for your vans, solars, split charge systems, batteries, wiring. Brilliant company, and he couldn't have been more helpful. Been a bit of a pain in the bum with asking questions on different bits and pieces. As we said, obviously, I'm an electrician by trade, but I'm used to AC electrics. DC is a little bit different, still the same sort of thing, but there was a couple of things I wasn't 100% sure on, and an email or a phone call, and he's always there to answer any questions. So again, highly recommend Simply Split Charge to you guys. Right, okay, I'm going to crack on getting this all mounted on this board, and then I'll start to get some cables in. Okay, as you can see there, I have now made up my my little panel that I was talking about, which I've mounted in there on the back wall. Unfortunately, one of my little clips has twisted and I cannot get that straight, and that is really going to bug me. That's really going to annoy me. Just held it in place with some little L brackets and some at the bottom as well. But yeah, that looks nice and neat. I'll keep all the wires out of the way. Be no cables, be no birds' nests in there. So I've got to put the top piece on this unit, but what I will do is I will mount a little, if you can see, I'll mount a little LED in the top here so it lights this area up, so if I need to get in there to do anything, yeah, that'll give me a bit of light in there. It also leaves me, you know, a fair amount of storage in this unit as well. My leisure battery, I think what I'm going to have to do is cut this piece out here, put some battens underneath here so that will slot back in, so then I can put my leisure battery down through there, because leisure battery won't go through that door, unfortunately, but that's not a problem, we can sort that. One thing I will mention as well, which is not nothing to do with electrics, but if you do buy one of these units or one of these kitchen setups, it may be an idea to strip this protective film off before you put it together. I think it's going to be okay everywhere else, but where these aluminium profiles run down, as you can see there, it's going to be an absolute nightmare for me to try and get that out. So yeah, in places where you've got this aluminium profile, it may be an idea to actually take the protective film off first. I thought it would come off, but no, obviously not. So I'm probably going to pop them profiles off. This has all got to come out again anyway. It's just fitted in there for the moment, just as a mock-up. But I'll probably pop the screws out of here and get all of this out of there, because I don't want it's just dust. Yeah, I don't want to be seeing that. That was going to do my head in. So right, okay. I don't know whether to stop for the day now and have a couple of beers or crack on. Okay, welcome back. So today is tomorrow, and I did decide to pack up early yesterday and have a couple of beers. It was my birthday weekend, so yeah, I think I deserved it. As you can hear, today is horrendously windy. I think we got 55, 60 mile an hour winds, so I'm going to be tucked up in the back here getting things done. And got the floor all down. The floor was all back down. All insulation was put in. I can't get my words out today. It's the beers. Insulation is now all put down, so the floor is now secured down as it should be. Got my cables placed where they're going to sort of come out the floor and run behind the units. I've had to run things in like a 12 volt ignition feed for the CBE, for the PC210 unit. That requires a switched ignition feed. I believe it turns off some of the 12 volt, like the lights in the back and things like that. When you turn the ignition on, you can have it so it turns off some of the 12 volt circuits. One of them being the fridge as well. So I've got to, I'll show you this when I sort of get into the wiring. There's a little jumper cable you've got to put in on the actual 12 volt fuse board. But yeah, other than that, I've got to get a few more cables in, get my ledger battery placement sorted. Ooh, I'm dropping down a bit, there we go. Yeah, and then just get the wires in, get the units put back in and secured and fixed down, and that will be virtually it in the back here. I've got a couple of bits I'm still waiting for to go in from electrics. I've got a isolator for the solar, so at the moment the solar is coming straight down into the MPPT. But it'll go into an isolator and then it will go into the MPPT. And I've also got an isolator coming for my 12 volt, so I can isolate the 12 volt supply. But yeah, when they're here, I've left space on the board and I've left the cables in the trunk and long enough so I can just switch them over when it gets here. So anyway, I'll quickly show you where I've routed my cables and where they're going to sit, and then we'll crack on. So as you can see there, I've routed my cables. They come, I think I said before, they come from the battery through the bulkhead down sort of underneath the heater matrix, and then they go through the sort of center console underneath where the stereo is, obviously lower down underneath the floor, and there's like a little gap where the ply meets the rubber mat for the front there. It's amazing how dirty that rubber mat gets in the front. I've cleaned that several times and it's still filthy. I might get some kind of little piece to go where the lino meets the rubber mat in there, just to tidy that up, because I think that looks a little bit sort of scruffy there. Saying that, the driver's seat isn't actually bolted down yet, so that may pull that piece of lino down and stop that little bit there, which I'm getting. Look, you're not going to see a lot of that because that's where the units are going to sort of be anyway. But yeah, as you see there, my cables are all routed there. You've got there's a set of RCA cables that comes from the stereo to route along there as well, because I'm going to put a little lamp in there to power my speakers I have in here. My earth was meant to be on the old seat belt or the old tie down point there, but at some point in the past that's been cross threaded. So as you can see, I got a little bit of a grinder on there and just sort of ground it down to get a nice path to earth, and I couldn't actually put the bolt in, so I've had to go slightly above it. But yeah, that's on there quite nice. I'll also put my my 240 volt earth on that as well. But yeah, that's where the cable's going to run. I'm going to put some little tie downs on there so they're all tied back neatly against the back before I put the units in. They'll obviously come up here. Whoops, I'm dropping everything. They'll come up here, and that's where my board is. I say there, so I've got some cables come out there for my solar panel, and there's some cables for the lights there as well. Obviously a little bit of carpet up there I will tuck in and tidy up, so you can't see that. You won't see that anyway because it goes behind the unit. But again, here I will tidy them up, put some little cable clips on them, so that ties them back into that little profile there. But yeah, like I said before, I hate cables sort of hanging about everywhere. So, but okay, right, let's crack on. Okay, so I've got my cables clipped in along that back wall, ready to go around to where the leisure battery is. This is where my leisure battery is going to sit. I'm going to make a couple of sort of wooden battens and put on the floor around it, and then I will have a strap that goes over and fits onto the wheel arch. As you can see, I'm sort of starting to run cables up here. I have put a fuse here as well. Now this is the cable that comes from my starter battery, from the van battery, and then goes up to the PC210 system. The PC210 system split charges, so it's got a split charge unit in there which will split charge the leisure battery. The reason I put that fuse there is many years ago I had a old Mark II Golf GTI with a sub and everything in the back and an amp. I had a short in the back of the car, and even though it was fused by the battery, the cable that ran from the amp to the battery for a brief second or two got red hot, and that burnt everything that sort of it touched as it ran through the car, burnt all the insulation off. Now I don't know if the fuse wasn't rated correctly. Like I say, this was 20 odd years ago, back in my youth, back when things were black and white and dinosaurs roamed the planet. So yeah, it's overkill. It doesn't need to be here. You know, the fuse, if rated correctly, should blow instantly in the event of an earth fault or an overcurrent fault. So, but I've put that there just for peace of mind. Like I say, you don't need that. It is overkill. And if I'm brutally honest, my cable was a little bit short as well, so that's given me a little bit of extra length to get up to the unit there. I didn't want it to be really tight. So yeah, killed two birds with one stone basically there. So, but as you can see, yeah, I'm just cracking on, getting the cables in. This is going to be where my fuse from the leisure battery to the PC210 unit sits. Yeah, and I've got to cut in my 230 hookup, which will basically go outside of the van behind this panel here. I'll route the cables in there and then up into the 230 consumer unit, which will then feed the 230 battery charger, which will then charge the battery when on hookup. And then obviously I've got to get all cables for my lights out of there. Really good how this is wired up. So as you see, you've got on the printed circuit board there, everything comes out of the blocks. So you wire into the blocks, and all your feeds come out for your lights, etc, etc. So yeah, I will show you, just in case you're new to sort of electrical bits and bobs and you're going to try something like this yourself. I'll just show you how to make an end off correctly, using the correct crimps and heat shrink, etc. Okay, so this is going to be my 16mm cable that comes from the PC210 unit down to the leisure battery. So effectively this is the cable that is going to go down through my split charge. So this is my positive, live, whatever you want to call it. So I have already stripped the cable, as you can see. It is running 16mm split conduit. So I have already stripped the top off, ready to put the crimp on. Now I use these. Obviously, I've said it many times before, but I'm an electrician by trade, so I do have a lot of tools required already to do this. So yeah, these are absolutely amazing cable shearers. As you can see there, they'll cut through anything. Keep them nice and sharp, and they will literally cut through anything and strip anything. A brilliant tool for doing, especially this kind of cable as well. Anyway, so yes, like I was saying, so I've stripped the cable down. I've got my crimp. I had my piece of heat shrink. It's okay, let's get another one. There it is, I found it. There we go. So you got your piece of shrink tube, shrink wrap, not shrink wrap, or shrink wrap if you want to call it shrink wrap. Obviously that is adequate for a 16mm cable, which is this one I'm using. So you put your shrink wrap over first. When you strip the cable, measure, if you see what I mean there. So your inner core goes up to the top of the crimp, that piece there. So when you crimp it, you know that you are crimping copper. Your goes on there. I always put it on and I always give it a little twist just to push it down firm onto the bottom of the insulation there. I haven't stripped that very straight, so there's a little bit of a gap there, but it doesn't matter because that is going to be covered up by the shrink tube. So to crimp these now, these are the correct crimpers for these tools. So you've got different styles of crimpers. These ones here, you have to excuse these are so rusty. You can tell I don't do a lot of work. So these are ratchet crimpers. Now these are regulation approved crimpers. They correct to the they crimp to the correct torque. Each size crimper's got a torque that is supposed to be crimped at, and these will crimp at the correct torque. Because they're on a ratchet, they will not release until you have crimped to the torque that is specified. These are for your uninsulated crimps, like the one that I'm putting on this cable here. So these go up to 10mm and 16mm, and these are for your insulated crimps. So you can see your red, your blue and your yellow coloured crimps. Okay, so for this cable we will be using, because it's a 16mm cable, 16mm crimp, we will be using the bigger one here, which is the 16mm. So what I like to do, I like to get it into my crimp, get it a couple of nips on the ratchet so it's holding the crimp in place, and then I put a little bit of pressure on the cable, pushing it into the crimp. And as you can see, that will not come undone until you have crimped to the correct torque, correct force, correct torque, whatever you want to call it. So now that has crimped in there, and that is not going to come off there, that is tight. So we then push our piece of shrink tube up onto the crimp like so. A little bit further up. I like to go to just under the bottom of the actual lug itself, and then we've got our overpowered hairdryer. I don't like using flame torches for these. You can obviously use a flame torch, but I would much prefer to use a hot air gun. You can burn it with a flame torch. Fair enough, you can burn it with a hot air gun, but you're gonna have to hold it there for quite a while to actually burn the shrink tube. A flame, obviously it's an open flame, it can burn it and char it. So anyway, let's put that on, heat that up. If you are using one of these, be careful where you put it down, because that end is very hot. And there you go. There you have your crimped and shrink tubed connection. What I also do, see, I've run a lot of my cables in the split conduit like this, to just give it a bit of extra protection. So then I can, I can then run my conduit up sort of like that, so that will sit in the board like that. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps somebody out. I will show you in a little while how to do the small block crimp connections, which I think I might have to get a different tool for them. I'm not sure. There's something I haven't crimped before. Like I say, I work with DC, AC electrical stuff. DC is quite new to me, although it is virtually the same. There are some differences between the two, and obviously I don't usually work with tiny little cables like what are going into this panel here. So again, it's the same, just on a smaller scale. So anyway, right. Okay, so unfortunately my camera battery ran out, so I couldn't record cutting the actual 240 hookup point in, but there we go. I have installed the 240 hookup point. Excuse the damage and my horrible crusty wheels that are on there at the moment. But I've drilled through, obviously cut that in there, and it comes out there, which goes up, and that'll go up to my 240 distribution unit, which is up there. Excuse the mess. It's in a sort of bit where I've got to tidy it all up and get it all to look nice and neat, but it will do. Say all this bottom bit here is going to sit behind the cabinet, but I'll put that in another piece of trunk, and when that's all wired in and everything. So yeah, let's crack on some more. Okay everyone, so it's taken me a little while to get this last bit of this video updated. I've all but finished the wiring. Excuse the mess down there, I've obviously got to tidy things up, but as it stands I have we are on a 240 hookup at the moment. It's up there plugged, my battery charger is on and charging the leisure battery down there. Solar panels all hooked up. I'm still waiting for my isolator, solar isolator that is going to go there, just so I can take my solar panel cables into that, so I can isolate the solar panel down here rather than have to unplug it and everything. But as it stands, yeah, I've had a quick test. I have no faults. I have things like that's a lighting cable that's going to go to some light, just going to go sit in that unit that goes up there. Oh, focus. It's a bit smoky in here. Nothing's burning, don't worry. It's me puffing on my vape thing in here. Sorry. Oh, now Siri is talking to me. So we've got my PC210 panel just plugged in at the moment. Let's see if we can have a quick... have to excuse the mess in here, it is in a bit of a mess, as you can see. But yeah, this is the control panel for the CBE PC210. I've got a mucky fingers, look, I've got a bit mucky. So that's obviously your on and off button for the for everything. That turns on with a hideous beeping noise. Oh, you can change that. You can change things like the colour of the display and everything. This is my 12 volt on and off, so obviously I'll have separate switches put in in the cabinet when I put them in, so this just isolates all of the 12 volt basically. So that's all my lights, little spotlights, and obviously ceiling spotlights. You obviously got this here that will isolate your, turn your pump on and on for your tap. Things like leisure battery monitor. That's my leisure battery, currently sitting at 2.9 volts. That was quite low, so like I say, that was that's now on the 240, so that's charging off the 240 battery charger, which is that unit there. And then you can check your van battery voltage somehow. There we go. Yeah, so my van battery is a little bit low at the moment, so I'm gonna have to take this for a drive soon. But yeah, okay, let's flip this camera around. Okay, as I said, so yeah, that is the electrics mostly wired up. I'm got to order some switches and some 240 sockets, which will obviously come off my 240 distribution board. Switches to turn each individual set of lights on and off, and the, I can't think what it was, the solar isolator. Oh, and some USB charging sockets as well, which I'm going to put in there. But other than that, they're things that have got to be cut into this end unit that's going to sit at the end here. So I'll order them within the next couple of days and get them all wired in. And yeah, then it's going to be a case of fixing the units down. Yeah, and I think obviously get the rock and roll bed back in, tidy things up in here, and it's going to be the back of the van virtually done. Obviously got to order my sink, I've got to order that. Plumbing the water supply, which is easy enough, isn't it? It's just a submersible pump in the bottle thing. Obviously the gas supply has then got to be plumbed in for the hob that's going to be in there. Fridge wiring is already in, so as soon as the fridge turns up, I've just got to put it under there. So yeah, I'll show you quickly what the units look like without the tape on. Obviously it's dark. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. Obviously it's dark, I've got lights on here, so you're not going to get the true colour of it, but I'll give you a quick look just to show you what they look like. So yeah, that's like it's the graphite grey. That's my little test battery down there that I've been using just to test things with. Move that, but I've got my little spotlights in that I'll put down there. Where's me? Look, hey. But yeah, this is the colour. This is the graphite grey. It's going to look really nice, obviously when everything's in with the dark and everything in the floor. But it is literally, it's like a bomb has gone off in here at the moment. It's bad. I'm not usually this messy. But obviously a very small space to work in, isn't it? And I've got all the tools in here, all the equipment that I'm putting in, so yeah, I need to have a bit of a tidy out. So anyway, thank you very much again for everyone that's liked and subscribed. I really appreciate it. Up to like 130 subscribers now. Again, not a great deal, but I really do appreciate it. Like I said before, I didn't really expect to get very many. I'm doing this to kind of document my progress. If it helps other people, really, really good. You know, if it inspires people to do their vans, you know, I was inspired by watching other people's videos. So if this helps somebody along the way or inspires anyone, then brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yep, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.